Welcome back to another edition of the Night Report podcast. I'm your host, Mike Broadbent. Joining me once again are my co-hosts, Richie O'Leary and Alec Krauthamel. The Rutgers Scarlet Knights basketball team has landed its big man in Baye Fall. He should be a familiar name to a lot of you. Rutgers recruited him pretty hard out of the class of 2023, and they finally get their guy. We'll go into what went into landing him and where he fits on the Rutgers roster. And the Rutgers football team with another surprise commitment in the portal, from this time from a safety out of Mercer named Chris Joins. We'll get into what he brings as a player, how the staff anticipates to use him. But first, this podcast is presented to you once again by BetOnline. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. With the largest selection of odds on everything from the NBA playoffs to Major League Baseball, NHL, and UFC, even the Kentucky Derby and NFL season future bets are ready for you to bet right now. In between games, you could head over to the BetOnline Casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. BetOnline, the game starts here. All right, so Rutgers has its big man in Baye Fall. He was a name that we kicked around at the beginning of the portal process when he entered. Rutgers finally was able to reel him in. Obviously, huge accolades as a high school recruit, McDonald's All-American. He signs with Arkansas at a high school. At one point, he was, a five-star player. I think we knocked him down to the 30s, something like that, in the final rankings update. Hasn't done a whole lot in college. In 2 seasons at Arkansas and Kansas State, he's played a grand total of 70 minutes. And it wasn't because he's stacking up injuries. He just wasn't able to break into the rotations there. Let's start with high-level takes on how you feel about this addition. Alec, I'll let you start. What are your thoughts on the addition of Baye Fall?
I think this is a fine, solid addition considering how out of control the center market had been. We don't know how much how much money he got or how much it cost or whatever, but I mean it's definitely cheap. I'm assuming it's cheaper than a lot of the other center options. Um, Kansas State's big rotation was kind of logjam. It was kind of a bit of a logjam last year. I mean, you have Coleman Hawkins starting and then you have Aguna Onyenso behind him, who's kind of a similar archetype to Baye Fall. So he kind of never was able to break through and see a lot of the floor. They had a lot of guys who were 6'7" and above last year, so there's just not a lot of room in that room. But it is concerning that he's played in 13 career games in 2 years and only, like you said, 70 minutes. That's like a game and a half. I'm pretty sure Dylan Harper played in like 45 minutes in like one game this year, so a little concerning. But I do think there's something there with him. It remains to be seen if it can be unlocked. Some of his rate stats are definitely encouraging, like his rim protection, his rebounding numbers. They're definitely encouraging, but because of the small sample size, he's not going to have a 13% block rate in the Big Ten when he plays 20 25 minutes a game. So. But there is something there to work with. He's always been a high level athlete, solid rim protector, solid rebounder. I also have to wait and see because one of the knocks on him coming out of high school is that he didn't have as much strength, or he wasn't as big as he needed to be to be that rim protecting anchor center in a power conference. So we'll see if he can put that strength on, or if he has already in his 2 years in college. I guess we don't know what the center rotation is going to look like next year. So whether he starts or whether Emmanuel Ogbole starts, because the transfer portal is closed, so Ogbole is definitely back. I'm assuming this is the only other center that Rutgers will take. This also explains why I believe Parker Jefferson didn't make his official visit. This was probably in the works. I am surprised that Rutgers actually landed him. He was mostly a Carl Hobbs recruit coming out of high school. So, I mean, obviously Steve Pikiell was involved. When you're recruiting someone, obviously the head coach gets involved too. So, but I was surprised that they got back involved, and he's back. He's still at the Power 5 or I guess high major levels. So I think this is a solid addition, and we'll see if Rutgers and Steve Pikiell and Jay Young can unlock something with him, whether this year or down the line or something like that. I think this is a solid addition, and definitely considering the financial constraints of adding a center, I don't think this is a bad addition.
All right, how about you, Rich? How do you feel about this high
Um,
level?
I actually think it's not a bad addition. It's basically what you can get for what you can afford for Rutgers. It fits what they need or what they want, I should say. This goes back to what Peichel told us in the off right before or I guess right as the offseason started, was that he wants guys with length. He needs a rim protector. It's going to be defense first. He wants to win games ugly. Like it's just going to be back to old school Peichel defense first basketball. And he fits this mold. This is where like we kind of saw him going with the big man spot. Did I think it was going to be Baye Fall? No, I thought he was still going to cost a pretty penny, and he might have cost a pretty penny still. We don't really know. My best guess right now is it's probably in like at bare minimum it's 500K at bare minimum. I think it's probably more than that. I'd probably say 6 to 700,000 just because he's not productive, but he's still riding that like 4-star status, that McDonald's All-American. Like the potential's there. It's just how do you make it work? Like when I was talking to the Kansas State guys about him, it's funny. They sent me a hilarious meme, which I got to show on here real quick. Does not work, but could be fun to fix. And I feel like that basically describes how it works, like, or how he is as a player. Like he hasn't played much at all, and there's a reason for that at two schools specifically in Arkansas and Kansas State. But he has the potential. How do you unlock that potential? I don't really know. You have to hope Jay Young is this big man guru that we thought previously and can make him into some kind of superstar. He has a lot of talent. Like he's a really like high level athlete. Yeah, I can't even talk today. High level athlete. He just needs muscle. Like he has zero muscle whatsoever. He's almost built like Bryce George essentially, but he plays more of a big man role. Much better rim protector, can guard pick and rolls, really good lateral movement, athletic. You could see him like he doesn't get as many lobs as he should or should have in high school. Also, we're going based off high school tape. We're going off 3 years ago now. So now it's like I don't know who he is anymore as a player, but he still hasn't been able to add muscle. So you hope that Dave Van Dyke can somehow get him in the weight room and just pack on 10, 15 to 20 pounds even. So I think he's still going to struggle in that regard, especially when guarding big men in the Big Ten, just because they're all massive. But there is some skill sets you like. He does have a decent jumper. He can extend it to the 3-point range if necessary. One of the knocks on him out of high school, ironically, is he takes too many deep twos, and it's like, oh, okay, perfect. This fits this offense pretty well. I don't know. I don't really know what to expect from him. I don't know if he starts. I don't know if he comes off the bench. Maybe you just do that split again between Emmanuel Ogbole and Lathan Somerville. Now you just replace Somerville with Baye Fall. Either way, it's still kind of concerning for that big man spot. I'm not like comfortable with it by any means whatsoever, but he's a former McDonald's All-American, so you take a chance on him, and I think this is it's probably the best you can do, to be honest, given the money situation.
Yeah, I think from an archetype standpoint, this is exactly what Steve Peichel was looking for as a central defensive anchor to his, starting lineup. But it really kind of is just like a mystery box. Like you kind of have to go back to his high school tape, his high school scouting reports, and kind of get an idea of what he was as a prospect, because we basically see nothing from him as a college player. The only thing we know from college is that he went to 2 high major programs with 2 very good coaches, and Eric Musselman at the time and Jerome Tang, and he couldn't crack their rotation period. So he played some early games, and then he was not played at all in conference games and conference tournaments or the NCAA tournament. So that's definitely concerning. But that doesn't mean that Rutgers can't pull something out of him that other schools were not able to. So I think this is a very huge question mark. Aaron Brightman said it last night, where the grades are like very, the grading on this pickup can be very wide. It's got a floor of like an F, and it's got a ceiling of an A+. Like it could be anything. So it's really just about how they develop him, how they intend to utilize him, and honestly, like how many minutes can he play? Like, is this a guy who he hasn't shown he can play, starters level minutes? Can his body hold up over the course of a season? Richie, you said he's not very muscular. That's not a good sign for a Big Ten big, because, while not everyone looks, like who was that guy in Illinois a few years ago who was just like the quintessential like 70s and 80s center.
Kofi Cockburn.
Kofi Cockburn. Yeah, like not everyone's like him, but there are a lot of big-bodied bigs in the Big Ten
Mm-hmm.
who will, muscle you around and beat you up in the paint. So
Hell yeah.
I do like this pickup from a process standpoint, given the constraints we have, given that we're not, fighting with the same war chest in terms of NIL that every other school in the Big Ten seems to be. I'm fine with the pickup, but, don't. It could just be like a guy who doesn't really catch on and isn't able to really play at the level that we hoped, or he could end up being, mid-level Cliff, like, sophomore to junior level Cliff, where he was just blocking a ton of shots, rim running, catching alley-oops and lobs, because he's shown the ability to do that on his tape, but it's just, can he do that through the course of a full season? Can he do it against high major opponents?
Mm-hmm.
Big question mark. But from a philosophical and archetypal standpoint, I do like this pickup.
I'd say sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say my biggest concern probably is when you read like Jerry Carino's article, and he talks to Pike, so it's like, hey, I want to put him and Emmanuel out there at the same time, and I'm like, what the fuck are we talking
Yeah,
about?
that's wild.
That's a concern. That should not even be a conversation. Like, just shut that shit down. Stop with this double center thing. Like, it works when you have Danny Wolf and who was it, Vlad Golden, because they're able to pass the ball. They're uniquely qualified on offense, and they have an extreme offensive game that they can kind of both work off of each other. This Emmanuel Ogbole can't do anything outside the rim. This kid essentially just doesn't do anything outside the rim. It's like, and he's extremely raw offensively too. Like, stop with these ideas of putting these two giant centers down low when you don't have that quality of center. You don't even have one of those quality of centers. So I just need to shut that down, like, immediately. That is the worst idea in the world.
I do find it kind of interesting. I've seen people say that he's more of a power forward than a center. So I wonder how that would work. Putting him at center if he is more of a power forward, but at the same time he's 6'11" and supposed to be a really good rim defender. So you're gonna get put at center.
Yeah,
and I don't. We saw it a little bit with Antoine Wolfolk and Cliff Omori a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was fine for like 3 possessions when a couple of them were alley-oops, and I think Cliff might have hit a 3 in the Princeton game or something like that. But preferably not again.
There's like other stuff too. Like, you keep reading like his high school stuff, and it's like extremely high turnover rate in AAU play, and you're like, okay, like 5 turnovers per game in AAU ball. It's like, Jesus, like, he's just lean, man. Like, he's built like he's literally Bryce Dortch, just a little bit taller. Like, his build, not his play.
I'm noticing a lot of these scouting reports. It's like, are we sure this is like a top 30 kid? Is it like a 5-star? There's a lot of downfalls in these scouting reports. But he was ranked in the start of his junior year. He was ranked as high as number 6 nationally in August of his junior year, and then he kind of steadied out. He was around like top 15 for a lot of his junior year, and then the start of his senior year, and then signing day he fell to 36. So that's I wonder what happened there, because I don't really remember. I guess I don't really remember the his whole recruiting thing after it seemed like Rutgers wasn't going to land him. But this has a lot of range of outcomes. This edition has, so we'll see if it's one of the good ones.
Yeah, but given who was left in the portal and what Rutgers is working with, I do think I'd give it say B- grade. What about you guys? You want to grade it?
I would. Yeah, that's probably where I would put it right now.
Yeah, if it's what they want, maybe you can unlock them. If Eric Musselman couldn't really unlock him, he didn't do anything at Kansas State at all. Just not super confident, but given the money situation, given what you need, given what you want, I think it's probably B-.
So anything else on Baye Fall before we talk about the football edition here?
He's always been seen, even in a high school, as a package deal with his teammate or high school teammate Asane Diop. He was at Colorado this year as a forward, 6'8" guy, averaged like 3.3 points per game. I know they have the same guardian, so it could be something to watch if Rutgers goes after another wing. I don't think he'd be a bad addition. I think it'd be another like solid rotational piece. Considering right now your backup fours, Bryce Dortch, I guess, at the moment. So unless you want to put Buchanan and slide him up, technically. I don't know.
That same Guardian also works with, I think his name is Alu Jome, I think is how you say it. I'm probably butchering it, but he's a center in the 2026 class as well. He previously played at that same high school, the accelerated prep schools that both Fall and Diop did. But he transferred to Bella Vista Prep out in Phoenix on the EYBL Scholastic League. He has some power. He has some high major offers: Arizona State, Georgia, Georgia Tech, Ole Miss, Missouri, Syracuse. So maybe that could be another thing to look out for. I'm pretty sure Carl Hobbs is. I'm pretty sure that's where the relationship comes from, because Carl Hobbs is. I think he's been offering a lot of the guys from this like circle.
It makes a lot of sense. All right, let's transition to some football then. So this morning, Rutgers landed another commitment. I believe it's their 14th transfer this offseason.
Damn.
In Mercer safety Chris Joins. He's got 2 years of eligibility left. He was on campus this past weekend to watch the spring game, and Rutgers doesn't necessarily plan to start him right away. Rich, what are you hearing about the addition of Chris Joins and how Rutgers plans to use him?
Yeah, he's going to come in. He's going to provide depth at safety. I've said this about the last two additions between the Kent State defensive tackle and the LIU offensive tackle. They realized after last season they can't risk it anymore. You need to add as much depth as possible with injuries, potential injuries happening. You saw the entire defensive line go down basically, except Keontae Hamilton, who had to play defensive end at one point. Like, it's not worth the risk anymore. So they're just going to go out. They're going to add, kind of upgrade from, I guess, essentially not just your backups, but you're also essentially upgrading the roster from the walk-on spots. Because if, God forbid, this 105 does somehow come into play, you're just replacing those walk-ons with now lower-level FCS kids. He's not bad, Joins. I was told he has 2 years left. How he has 2 years left, I don't get, because he's played 10 games, 6 games, 12 games, or 13 games, whatever it was last season. 14, jeez, got it wrong. But somehow has 2 years left. That second sophomore year didn't count for some reason. I don't really know the logistics behind it. Doesn't matter, neither here nor there. But he has some decent talent. They're going to use him on special teams to start. He'll be a backup safety. We were just talking about it the other day. Like, I don't think Rutgers is specifically looking for a position other than linebacker and offensive tackle, but they would go get one if they found a good one. Obviously, they joins on campus this weekend. North Carolina kid, goes back to Scott Malone having all the connections down there. He was actually a 2021 prospect where he committed to Army before decommitting and reclassifying, going down to Myrtle Beach Prep, and then ended up committing to Mercer on National Signing Day back in December 2021. Really fast kid, athletic. Part of his high school's track team was part of that 4x100 relay team where they won a state championship. So he's got some speed. He's got decent numbers down at Mercer. Played against Alabama, played against Ole Miss, played against Auburn. So he's played against some decent comp. The Alabama game specifically had 5 tackles last year, or this past season, whatever. And his PFF grades aren't bad. 73.2 overall, so 70 coverage grade. I don't think this is a guy that you should be like overreacting to and saying like, oh my God, what are they doing adding all these FCS guys? It's just upgrading the roster in general. So I think this is a nice depth piece, multi-years. He'll come multiple years, and he'll come in next year as a chance to compete for the job with Jet Elad probably gone, unless he can fight in court again.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see how they use him. He's played some high-level teams in his career. Played North Dakota State last year in the FCS playoffs. Mm-hmm. They played Alabama last year. The year before that, it seems like they play Alabama most years, but I think they played Auburn the previous year. So he's he's familiar with some high-level opponents. I think he had 7 tackles this past year against Alabama, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah. But what's he bring as a?
Sorry,
go ahead.
Auburn as a true freshman. I mean, mind you, 42-16 result, but he got an interception against Auburn as a true freshman. I don't know if it was against their backups, if it was late or whenever it happened, but Auburn 2022, Ole Miss 23, Alabama 24. That Ole Miss game, 73-7.
Jeez.
That was
That's
actually Auburn starter TJ Finley threw 2 picks in that game.
TJ Finley, no shit. Fun fact,
he
he's
back in
back
the
in the portal
For like the 6th time, yeah.
School number 7. This is
Unreal.
fun. That was early in the game too. They were only up 28-0 at that point. Oh well. Anyway,
do you see this as a kid who could potentially develop into a starter next year?
I don't know. I mean, they have some nice safeties that they like. I know they're pretty high on Crumpler. Who's the other guy they have that they're pretty high on? I have to go back to the safety chart, but obviously Kosh Sanders is going to assume that one starting safety role for the next couple years. They liked Gilly's potential before he got injured. Jesse O'Fury, you'll probably see a little bit this year. Tyreek Care isn't there yet, but when he gets there, I think he'll have I don't know if he'll start as a redshirt freshman now. So, yeah, I guess there's a chance that this kid could technically start next year. It's going to be an open competition. And I wouldn't be shocked if they would know pretty early if he's going to start next year or not. It wouldn't shock me if he's not going to start. They go out and get another safety this next portal window in December.
So you talked about him as a player, expectations. We referenced, how many players that we thought they might add last pod. Mm-hmm. Is that still the rough estimation? Do you still think they're going to look for a tackle? Like, where do you think things stand now with regard to the 2025 season with Rutgers roster?
Definitely offensive tackle, definitely linebackers. So those are still the two that they want more than anything. They're still pushing Shea Taylor. Doesn't have a visit scheduled as of right now. So they're still going to try to get him. They're looking at what's the kid's name from North Carolina? Carter? Is that what it was? I forget what it is. But we posted about it on the boards. He's looking to visit. He was at Virginia Tech this weekend and supposed to visit Rutgers this upcoming week. I don't think he committed anywhere yet, so that's a good sign. And then I personally, out of looking up and down the roster, I think there's 2 positions that they can add depth for. If you can find a multi-year guy, say interior offensive line at guard, I would look for a potential guard at the next level because we know Nick Oliveri is probably going to start one of those spots next year. That other spot's, I believe, going to be open, right? If I had to guess. Who's the other guard this year? I don't even know. Jeez.
Asamoah.
Yeah, Kobe.
Yeah, Kobe's out though. He's out of eligibility, right?
I think this is his last year.
Kobe's got one more year after this.
Oh, jeez. All right, never mind then. Maybe they don't go for guard. The other one, cornerback. I think you can never have enough corners. Jacoby Henderson has 2 years, so you already kind of got that 2-year guy. But Cam Miller will be gone. Bo Maskell actually has a couple more years. Maybe you don't need a corner either. The 2 specifics are offensive tackle and linebacker. After that, you just find depth anywhere you can, basically.
Yep, that makes sense. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how summer camp goes. I think for me, I couldn't believe, and this is a little bit of spring game talk. I'm still in a little bit of disbelief at how good the receivers look, the freshman receivers. Mm-hmm. Vernon Allen, Jordan Houston, Michael Thomas III. They were all just wide open, and maybe it's against the second team defense, but promising young receivers on the team for sure. Is there anybody that you don't think got enough love in hindsight now about how the spring game went? Either of you guys?
You go, Alec.
Well, I was hoping that you go so I could think a little bit
I'll
more.
go, yeah. I do think Jordan Houston, I keep looking back at him, and not just him, but these guys are getting separation almost 5 yards off the line, 6 yards off the line, and they're not just getting separation, they're also breaking a defender. Now, mind you, some of these defenders are walk-ons and DBs that will probably never see the field. But even breaking the little shoelace tackles, you haven't seen that really out of Rutgers receivers. It's mostly either a deep ball or they're going to hit those routes. They're going to hit those guys and they're just going to get tackled after 6-7 yards down the field. But be able to break the tackle at where you're catching it and get more yak basically. it shows me that these guys have so much potential. Like
Yep.
and Vernon Allen's hands were phenomenal. Like I know we
Yeah.
talked about him a lot, but like between him, Houston, even Michael Thomas, like he had that one route in the corner of the end zone, and all he had to do was dive, and I was like, oh shit, if he dives, he catches it. And
Mhm.
it's a freshman, so like, and he's only been there for 3 months. I think he'll learn from that, and in the future, like if he can create that separation and get that pass and haul that in, like holy shit, like there's just so much potential for these guys. I thought AJ Serace, after rewatching all his throws, and you can check that out on our YouTube, I put them all together.
Yeah, that's cool.
I-
That's got a ton of views already too.
Yeah, I really liked I like his deep ball. I think he could throw it pretty accurately. I think he does take some risks that he shouldn't have. Like obviously the one interception. I wish he had a little more zip though. I feel like I didn't see enough zip out of him on some of these balls. Like it just seemed like he was like nonchalant with it a little bit. But I think when the lights come on, when it's an actual game, I think things will be a little bit different going forward. But either way, I thought the offense as a whole actually showed some real promise.
Yeah, I guess to choose a different guy, I'll say I like what I saw from Ja'Shawn Benjamin, particularly as a runner. I don't know if we saw him get targeted out of the backfield at all, but I really like what I saw from him as a runner. I know whenever you talk about the running back room, whether it's with Demir Shaw or with Greg Schiano, they always make it a point to mention him after the main guys like the Raymonds and the CJ Campbells. They always make a point to mention him. So it definitely seems like he'll have at least somewhat of a big role in this offense. And if he can continue to grow as a rusher, that kind of also improves his pass catching skill set too, because he'll see the field more. So. Yeah, I definitely like what I saw from there. Also, I looked. Kobe Asamoah only played in the last 3 games of the 2022 season, so yeah, he still has 2 years left.
That's huge, actually.
Yep.
Like I didn't realize that.
Unless he has like the greatest guard season of all time and goes to the NFL, which would also be pretty good.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, no, I'm really excited for fall camp. Now it gets to that weird lull period where there's not a whole lot going on other than recruiting stuff. The 26 class really filled itself in over the next 2 months last year. So I would expect, the 25 class really filled itself in May and June. I expect the same thing this year. It's just with how roster construction goes these days, you want to have your high school class kind of filled in well ahead of time. So official visits starting up at the end of the month. So stay tuned for updates on that because I'm sure that list will continue to grow. But this is the weird time of the calendar, guys. So go hang out with your family, do other things.
Get out of the house, dude.
Get out of
Stop
the house.
listening to
Touch
us.
grass for once.
Touch grass.
Jesus.
It's going to be a beautiful week this week. Hope you get to enjoy it. Anything else before we head out of here, guys?
Let me think. Is there anything else? Buy one. Oh, well, here you go, Alex.
Oh no, you have something more important to talk about.
No, this is not really important, but important. If you're not signed up for the night report, there is a buy one get 3 months free promo, 4 months for the price of one. B1G3F. Who developed that promo code? I have no idea, but that's a complicated one. It's on our site. Check it out. You get 4 months for the price of one. We could talk about this top 30 Rutgers recruiting class for football. Hoops is still trying to find a portal guard. And they actually have another spot on top of that, which we thought would be a center, but it's not going to be a center. So, or it could be a center still, I guess. I hope not at this point. But either way, latest recruit scoop, latest visitor stuff, it's always going to be on the Roundtable forum. And in order to do that, you have to sign up for premium. So B1G3F, all caps for the 3 letters that are in there.
I would have just gone with like BOG3.
That's what
But
don't get me started. I didn't develop it.
Yeah, exactly. So men's lacrosse kept their season alive, beating Michigan in Ann Arbor.
Huge one.
So that was definitely a big win. It was actually going on during the spring game too. They play against Ohio State, one of the top teams in the conference, also in Ann Arbor on Thursday, I believe. So they almost actually pulled the upset last time out. Let's see if they can do it again. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know too much about the selection process in the NCAAs, but it seems like they might have to win the Big Ten in order to get into the NCAA tournament because I believe they lost out in the last couple games of the regular season. So, yeah. Rutgers baseball also had a good weekend. They beat Ohio State. They won 2 out of 3 games. So a lot of runs scored in that series. Ohio State's not one of the better teams in the Big Ten, but you know what?
The worst?
A series win is a series win. And whenever you can run rule a Big
Yeah.
Ten team, I mean, that's at least a little bit impressive, even if it's not a good one. But still, it's pretty impressive. I want to say they won like 17-4 on Friday, and they had a SportsCenter top 10 play where I think it was like it was a grounder to the right side. The second baseman got it, flipped it to the first baseman, who threw it to the pitcher for the 4-3-1 putout, which was pretty impressive. Yeah.
Also, the NCAA is expected to get their approval this week for the judge and the whole case. Expected to. Again, we expected it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever it was.
Wasn't it supposed to be April 7th?
Yeah. Was that 3 weeks ago? Yeah, it's like 3 weeks ago on the dot. There you go. We'll see if it happens. I know that the NCAA continues to push for this 105 ruling. From what I was told, and this is not from Rutgers, this is from a different Power 5 assistant coach I know. He told me that they're still planning to do the 105, and they're cutting players at said program. Rutgers, it sounds like they're confident it's not going to go to 105. Rutgers at 117 right now with the new additions. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how this all works. But according to the new rulings, you're going to be able to cut players whenever. But are they allowed to enter the portal immediately? I don't know. I feel like you're going to have to implement like a rule that says if I cut said player, he's able to enter the portal whenever. And then we're cause chaos all over again. Like, because then you could just add players. And like Greg said in his press conference, you can add players all the way up until kickoff. So just what are you going to do? Just drop everyone the day before and be like, oh my God, look at these guys in the portal. They're so much better. Like, come on. Like, I don't know. It's just, the whole thing just seems like madness. It's still the wild west, whether they agree to this deal or not.
Hey, Rutgers has added, just prior to kickoff against Ohio, they've added a mystery transfer by the name of Pollen Bierce to play left tackle. Don't know where he came from, but yeah, mystery addition.
Yeah.
Also, the Devils lost yesterday. Unfortunately, I was there. It's my first Devils playoff game, first game of the season actually that I went to.
Dude, be better.
I know. I just haven't. I just haven't made time to go to one.
I went to one this season, so
it's not that hard to get to Newark, but it's also not that easy. So, but it was fun. I would say it was worth it, even though they got hit hard. Yeah, it was bad. The energy got sucked out of the building right away when Svechnikov hit that goal just like 50 seconds into the game. And then the Canes scored again 50 seconds into the second period. And yeah, they made it close though. But they're probably going to lose on Tuesday or tomorrow, I guess, in Carolina. They're down 3-1. So yeah, not good.
Forgot to mention this earlier. We have not gotten the final results for the NFL Draft Challenge yet that we were running. We still need 3 players to announce their signing location. That's Aaron Lewis, that's Christian Dremel, and that's Flip Dixon. Those are the only 3 who are on that sheet who are no longer who have not announced. I can give you a score update really quick though, so we can show who is in the lead.
Say my name.
So I'm going to just hide a bunch of columns so we don't see everyone's emails. Can you see this?
Yes.
All right. So right now, RB Rutgers is in first place with 27 points. A. Buchelli is in second place with 26. And RU Payback is in third with 22. But there's a tight grouping here. Fourth place through 13th place, separated by 2 points. So the last signings can really kind of make or break who ends up winning this. But a strong top 2 right now in RB Rutgers and A. Buchelli. So congrats to you two. It looks like you're in a good place right now to win something.
Two things about this. Number one, Alec, I can't help but not see your name, but I see me and Mike right there.
I'm the weak link on the podcast, unfortunately. How far down am I?
Please give
Alec,
a broke student is kind of funny.
Alec is in 30th place because it starts at cell 2 here.
Yikes. Not a good weekend.
If you got Aaron Lewis and Flip Dixon and Christian Dremel right, you might be right back.
Yeah, so that's where those things stand. We want to thank everybody who entered, and that's all we got for you guys today. So
Hey, shout out to that one guy in the Discord who asked us to make this episode 40 minutes. We got close. It's at 35 right now. So hopefully
Someone
you
asked
can
us to
speed
do
up your workout. Yeah. Hopefully you can speed up your workout a little bit and make it done in 35 minutes.
All right. Well, that is all we got for today. Thanks to everybody who's listened, rated, reviewed. Saw a few new reviews come in. We really appreciate you guys. If you haven't already, you haven't given us a review on your favorite podcasting platform, I don't know what you're waiting for. Give us that 5-star review. We really appreciate it. It helps the show grow, and we will be forever indebted to you.
So hit subscribe down below.
Subscribe. Hit the 5-star review. We really appreciate that. But for me, Alec, and Richie, this has been another edition of the Night Report podcast. Signing off.